Michelle had always been an anxious traveler, but this time was different. A long overseas flight across the Atlantic, her first one alone, stretched before her like a challenge. She settled into her window seat, glancing at the other passengers and attendants, bustling through the cabinet. Her backpack stuffed with textbooks slid under the seat. She was hoping to review for an exam during a flight, but her mind buzzed with pre-flight nerves. The plane took off smoothly, its wings slicing through clouds as it climbed higher and higher. Michelle gazed out of the window, letting the view of endless blue skies and soft white clouds soothe her jitters. For a while, she even managed to forget about the midterms that awaited her on the other side of the world. Then somehow over the Atlantic, a strange shadow caught her eye. She squinted, pressing her face closer to the window. At first she thought it was her imagination playing tricks, shadows, reflections of the plane, or a bird maybe, but as the moments ticked by, the shadow solidified, growing clear. It wasn't a bird, it wasn't anything normal. Clinging to the wing of the plane right outside her window was a small, grotesque creature. Its skin was molded and grayish green, with splendid limbs and sharp, gleaming teeth. Its eyes, glowing faintly red, locked onto Michelle's. The creature moved deliberately, clawing at one of the engine's panels, pulling out wires and bolts with the sharp hooked fingers. Michelle's breath caught in her throat. "This can't be real," she thought. She blinked, but the creature remained, tugging at the parts of the engine. With an almost playful grin on his face, a rush of panic seized her. She spun in her seat and looked at the passengers across the aisle. Everyone was obviously lost in movies, books, or their own thoughts. She pressed the call button frantically, her heart raced as a flight attendant approached with a polite smile. "Hi, how can I help you?" the attendant asked. "There's something on a wing," Michelle stammered, pointing toward the window. "There's something out there. It's tearing apart the plane. You have to do something right now." The attendant's smile faltered, her brow furrowed with concern, but when she glanced out the window, her expression turned puzzled. "Ma'am? I hate to say this, there's nothing out there. You might be feeling a bit anxious from the flight, but I assure you everything is fine." "No, I swear, there's something. Look again," Michelle insisted, practically pushing the attendant to the window. "It's right there. It's pulling out the engine wires." The attendant glanced outside once more, shook her head, and gave Michelle a sympathetic smile. "I'll get you some water and maybe something to help calm your nerves, okay? Just try to relax. Everything is under control." Michelle wanted to scream. How could no one see it? How could no one else notice the creature dismantling the engine piece by piece? She looked around the cabinet in desperation. Was she going crazy? She leaned back to the window, hoping, praying that the gremlin would be gone. But it wasn't. In fact, it was getting bolder. The creature let out a sharp, grating screech, almost as if it knew no one could see it but her. It pulled harder at the wires, sending small sparks flying from the engine. Michelle's heart pounded. If it kept going, they wouldn't be able to stay in the air for much longer. She had to do something. Ignoring the bewildered looks of nearby passengers, Michelle unbuckled her seatbelt and rushed towards the front of the plane, her legs shaking beneath her. She found the head flight attendant near the cockpit. "You have to listen to me," Michelle begged, her voice on the edge of panic. "There's a creature on a wing and it's trying to sabotage the plane. I'm not imagining it. I can see it. It's ripping out the wires." The attendant's face was a mixture of concern and confusion, but before she could respond, the pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. "Attention, ladies and gentlemen. We're experiencing some minor technical difficulties with one of our engines. There's no need for alarm, but we'll be diverting to the nearest airport as a precaution. Please remain seated and stay calm. Thank you." Michelle's blood ran cold. The gremlin succeeded. The engine was malfunctioning. She spun back towards the cabin, eyes wide, and bolted to the nearest emergency exit window. The gremlin was still there, more malicious than ever, its grin wide and menacing as it yanked another wire loose, causing more sparks to fly. Without thinking, Michelle grabbed the emergency exit hammer from under the seat and ran back to her window. She knew the creature could see her. She wasn't helpless. She pounded on the window with the hammer, desperate to distract it, to get its attention. The gremlin hissed in response, momentarily stopping its sabotage to glare at her. For a brief second, it paused as if considering her. "Stop it! Leave the plane alone!" she screamed through the window, pounding harder. The gremlin gave a shrill, eerie laugh before launching itself off the wing and disappearing into the clouds below. Suddenly, the engine spluttered, but then stabilized, the sound of whirring back to life filling the cabinet. Michelle dropped the hammer, breathing hard, her whole body trembling. The flight attendant rushed towards her, alarmed by the commotion, but before they can ask, the pilot voice returned to the intercom. "Attention, everybody. The engine functionality has been restored. We'll continue to monitor it, but we're now back on course, everybody. We're now back on course." Michelle collapsed in her seat, exhaustion washing over her. No one believed her. No one saw what she saw. But the gremlin was real. She knew that, and whatever it was, it had failed. As the flight continued without further incident, Michelle kept her eyes on the sky, wondering if the creature would return. But as hours passed, the only thing she saw outside her window was the soft glow of the sunrise.